Hello there, my name is Mackenzie. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much for being here. Today we are doing my May anticipated releases video. Yes, I nearly forgot what we were just doing. That's why you come here. Alright, so there are quite a few books that I want to talk about that are coming out in May. I believe there's 18 of them. I numbered them this time to help me out. A few of them, I want to say 2 of the books that I'm talking about today are sequels in which I have not read the first one. But because I am interested in it, because I keep hearing good things about it, I have them on my radar. Obviously, I will not be reading these sequels until I read the first one in the book, if that ever happens. But I just wanted you to be aware that that is happening coming up in the video. Alright, let's start with May 3rd. There are 7 books that I want to talk about that are coming out on May 3rd. Holy Jesus, that's a lot of books. Let's get started. First one is exactly what I was just talking about, a sequel that I have not read the first one to. It is Seasonal Fears. Maybe I should move over so that way I'll move over this way and you can see it over there. So Seasonal Fears has a 4.2 on Goodreads right now. This is the second in the Alchemical Journeys series, first one being Middle Game. This is an adult fantasy sci-fi horror. We are not following the same characters that we were following in the first book. The first book we were following Roger and Dodger, and in this book we are following Melanie and Harry. They don't have the fun naming scheme. I don't think that they are related either. Basically, we're going to be talking about a lot of things about destiny versus free will, and I didn't read a lot of the summary because what if it spoiled the first book? So I'm not giving you much of that. And since the first book doesn't follow the characters of the second book, like, is there a point in telling you the plot of the first book? All I know is that every time I watch a booktuber review Middle Game, they're freaking out. Books and Lala just got an arc of Seasonal Fears, so hopefully we'll see a review of that soon. The second book I want to talk about is When Women Were Dragons by Kelly Barnhill. That was hard to say. Kelly Barnhill is the same author who wrote The Girl Who Drank the Moon, which I read last year and I loved it. It was so beautiful. So this is her adult debut. This is a adult historical fiction fantasy. So basically this is taking place in an alternate 1950s America, where in 1955 the Great Dragoning happened and women, wives, mothers, they just turned into dragons and flew off. But not all women. So we're following Alex Green, who is like, I believe a teenager at this point, and her mother did not get turned into a dragon, but her aunt got turned into a dragon. And so like, she's having to deal with her parents and also herself and also her sister who's obsessed with dragons. Seemed really interesting. And just a touch of the magical realism. Love it. Number 3 is Ballad and Dagger by Daniel Jose Older. This has a 4.02. Oh, When Women Were Dragons was 4.27 on Goodreads right now. And then Ballad and Dagger has a 4.2 on Goodreads right now. This is part of the Rick Riordan Presents series. So YA fantasy. 16 years ago, San Madrigal sank into the ocean and all its survivors escaped to New York. But the evil that sank their island has finally caught up with them. We follow Mateo, who is a piano prodigy who witnesses a murder by a person he thought he knew. That means that that person that he thought he knew was the murderer, right? That was weird. That was crazy. And yeah, there's also a girl on the cover and nothing on the summary has anything to do with the girl, just about Mateo. So maybe she's kind of like a surprise. Not really because she's on the cover, but it'll be surprising when we read it. Number 4 is obviously Book of Night by Holly Black. This is a 3.95 on Goodreads right now. So she wrote the Cruel Prince series and the Spiderwick Chronicles. Love her. I previously, up until this point, had zero idea what this book was about. I just knew I was going to read it. So basically, shadows can be altered for a price. Your shadow holds the parts of you that you want to keep hidden, a second self, and sometimes it has a life of its own. Charlie is a low-level con artist working as a bartender while trying to distance herself from the powerful and dangerous world of shadow trading. Girl, yes. Make it happen. Let me read it. Give me a copy. I'm so excited. Book Lovers by Emily Henry. So this is the same author who wrote Beach Read and also People We Meet on Vacation. I still have my eye on this author because nobody can decide. Like, it's not... The population is split, you guys. Half of you love her, half of you hate her. Half of you are like, well, if you're in the right mood, and it's like, but what is the mood? And the mood for her always seems to be that if you do enjoy it, you're upset, you're crying, it's very emotional. And that is a time that I love to have, but I gotta be in the mood for it, and I also gotta figure out how to plan for that. Like, honestly, it's just TV. It's just TV at this point that will comfort me after having read something super emotional, and I just don't have the time for TV when I'm trying to read all the books. It's just, you know? So Book Lovers is an adult contemporary romance. I was reading the summary and I got confused. So I'm not sure if Nora is our main character and she loves books. She's an avid reader. But I can't tell if she's the literary agent or her sister is the literary agent, okay? Regardless, both her and her sister, Libby, go on a sister vacation. And Nora keeps bumping into this guy, Charlie, which would be a meet cute, but they've already met multiple times because Charlie lives in the same city she does, and every time they do meet, it's not cute. So, like, I feel like this will be a good deciding factor. It seems like such an easy, breezy romance plot. So we'll see what you all have to say. Somebody tell me if I'm supposed to be giving Emily Henry a read right now. Number 6 is I Kissed Shara Wheeler by Casey McQuiston. I have not read a single thing from Casey McQuiston, but every time she puts out a book, I'm like, all right, let's find out. Red, White, and Royal Blue, I have no interest in reading. I do have One Last Stop. I do have that on my physical TBR, and I think I plan on reading that sometime in July. We'll find out. So this is a YA contemporary mystery. It seems very intriguing, okay? I watched... Who is that girl? It's Katie Coulson here. I watched Katie Coulson not like that book at all. And also, she didn't like One Last Stop either that much. And I'm like, okay, but is that because you and I just disagree on things? Or is that because, like, it's probably not good? But I Kissed Shara Wheeler does have academic rivalry in it, and that's, like, the song of my soul. So basically we have Chloe, whose main goal is winning valedictorian, and her only rival is prom queen Shara Wheeler. A month before graduation, Shara kisses Chloe and vanishes. Chloe isn't the only one Shara kissed either. There's also Shara's longtime boyfriend who she kissed on the same day, and also like this bad boy who she also kissed on the same day. So she kissed all of these 3 people on the same day, and then she vanished. And the only thing that all 3 of these people have in common is the fact that Shara kissed them all, and also she keeps leaving them cryptic notes. And I'm like, okay, what? This could be... It could be, like, are we making guesses? I'm going to guess that this is going to be something where Shara is getting, like, maybe revenge on all of these people and, like, driving them crazy with her notes. I don't know. I think that's a little bit much for a YA, but wouldn't it be cool? All right, and the last book coming out on May 3rd is Eyes of the Void by Adrian Tchaikovsky. 4.29 on Goodreads. Have I been telling you the Goodreads? Shara Wheeler's is 4.21. Book Lovers, oh my gosh, I don't have it written down. So Editing Mackenzie, put it in real quick. And then Book of Night had 3.95. Okay, moving forward, back to Eyes of the Void. Adrian Tchaikovsky, 4.29. This is the second in a series, and I have not read the first one. The first one is called Shards of Earth. It was on my 2021 anticipated releases, and I just didn't read it. So, you know, life goes. But the second one also looks good. So this is an adult sci-fi space opera. After Earth was destroyed, mankind created a fighting elite to save their species, enhanced humans such as Idris, who is the main character that we're following. Then their alien aggressors, the architects, simply disappeared, and Idris became obsolete. So the first book takes place 50 years after the aggressors left, and book 2 takes place 80 years after the aggressors left, if I understood the very minute sentence that I read from book 2's summary, so that way I made sure I didn't get spoiled. So I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. Sounds very interesting. Because Idris is an advanced human, they don't really like die. So Idris is the main character in both book 1 and book 2. So I'm very excited about that. I want to read more sci-fi. I'm tired of letting the sci-fi dude bros scare me away from these books. I'm reading them, okay? May 10th is the next day that books are coming out. It's the next Tuesday. I have 3 books to talk to you about that are coming out on May 10th. The first is Herrick's End by T.M. Blanchett. This is a 3.87 on Goodreads right now. This is a first in a series. It didn't say how many books were going to be in this series, but it seems very interesting. It says it's a YA fantasy. It doesn't say that it's a retelling, but it kind of has like, who is that guy? There's a myth where a guy goes to the underworld to save his wife, and Hades is like, okay, you can take her and walk her out of here, but the second you look back to make sure that it's her that has your hand, she'll turn into a pillar of salt. And he almost makes it. Is it Oedipus? No, that's Shakespeare. What am I talking about? And like as soon as he's about to make it, he turns back and it was her, and she turns into a pillar of salt, and like he doesn't get his wife. But that's what the summary is reminding me of. So we have this like kind of quote at the beginning. It says, "You did nothing, you were nothing, and so you shall remain here until the end of your days, as nothing." And then we have the bit about the summary. So we're following Ollie, who might not know much about the vast underworld that's ensnared him, but he does know this: he'll never make it out alone. And he's basically there because his friend, his female friend, goes missing, and he somehow makes it into the underneath, the underworld. It was a very confusing summary. It was so vague, and like I almost love it for it, because summaries are almost never vague. Summaries almost always give you more information than you ever did darn need. So I'm really excited about this one. Next is Dark Stars, New Tales of Darkest Horror. This has a 3.66 on Goodreads right now. This is a Tor Nightfire publication. I am following their books that they are publishing. I'm trying to read all of the books that they are publishing because it seems like a fun challenge to do, and also I like fantasy horror. This has quite a few authors in it. These are all new 12 short stories created as like an homage to the 1980s classic horror. So we've got Josh Mallerman, Stephen Graham Jones, Priya Sharma, Emma Koch, John Langan, Caroline Kepnes, and Usman T. Malik. A few of these authors didn't have books that I was familiar with or didn't have books published at all. So it seems like these are some new authors that Tor Nightfire has under them, and maybe we're just going to get a sneak peek of them. One of them wrote their own book of short stories, horror stories, and had multiple short stories also published. So I'm really excited for their stories as well, because like if their forte is already in short story form, I can't wait to see what they do. And oftentimes more of a novelist will have a harder time cutting down to a short story format because it's just not their format. So I'm really excited to see what's going on. Stephen Graham Jones, I want to love you because everyone else does, but you know, we'll just give it another go, maybe, and maybe the short story will be okay. Last book coming out on May 10th is Siren Queen by Neve Vo. This is the author of the Singing Hill Cycle, which I haven't read anything from, but I want to so desperately. Why does Books in Lala always have to turn me on to all of these, like, good-looking books that I want to read that I never get around to because my Barnes & Noble doesn't have anything physical? Rant over. So this is a historical fiction adult fantasy. So when I looked at this cover, I totally thought Great Gatsby. I don't know why, because this is taking place in 1929-ish in Hollywood, okay? Okay, so we're a little bit different. So we're taking place in the pre-code Hollywood, which was in about 1929. It was a very short era, right as movies were getting sound, but also there was no censorship. And this was a very brief era because everyone needed to like step in and put their rules and everything, but there was no censorship. We are following Chinese American Lu Li Wei, who is beautiful, talented, and desperate to be a star. She's willing to do whatever it takes to earn her fame. It talked a lot about in the summary about her not wanting to be like the maid character just because she was Chinese American. She wanted to be a star, and it basically put her in with the worst of the worst Hollywood execs and producers and film industry people who were just monsters, and she is willing to become a monster herself in order to get the roles that she wants. And I was like, girl, this sounds sad. This sounds like exactly the movie version of that other book. It came out by Taylor Jenkins Reid. What's it called? Daisy Jones and the Six. It was the movie version of that, and that's what it feels like. And like, I don't know, I guess I just relate more to like film and movies. That's more interesting to me. But also the audiobook. I don't think I will be getting the audiobook for this, because also that's why I couldn't read Daisy Jones and the Six, because it was told in like this interview format, and like I can't hear other people break down while they're telling me something sad. I'm too sad. I can't. May 17th is the next date. We have 4 books to talk about. Just Like Mother by Anne Helsel, 3.96 on Goodreads right now, and Siren Queen had a 4.12. Hello. Just Like Mother. This is an adult thriller horror. This is also a Tor Nightfire release. Very creepy cover. I was interested right away. This is the first time I've ever heard anything, read anything about the summary. So it was very interesting. We have the last time that Maeve saw her cousin was the night she escaped from a cult they were raised in. Who escaped from the cult? Maeve or the cousin? I'm not sure. That's a direct sentence that I pulled directly from the summary. Tell me who escaped? Now it's 2 decades later, and Andrea, who is the cousin, reappears having made her fortune in fertility. Sure. Their relationship reconnects, and it brings back a lot of terrors from childhood. Sure. A lot of it was vague, and like, I feel like I didn't even need a summary. I feel like when a cover is really, really good, you don't need a summary. It was vibes, and I'm pretty sure, like, I didn't understand the cult thing, but that's a plus. So I'm excited about it. The Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School by Sonora Reyes has a 4.56 on Goodreads right now. This is a YA contemporary romance. So I heard about this book from Perpetual Pages. He is not a new booktuber, but new booktuber to me. I've recently started watching his videos, and he was talking about this book. It seems really interesting. This is a YA contemporary romance. We are following Yami, who transfers to Slayton Catholic School after being outed at her previous school by her crush and ex-best friend. So like, stab me in the heart, but twice. So she is determined to stay in the closet at her new school so she can focus on her grades, on pleasing her mother, and also on protecting her brother. It is becoming increasingly difficult because Beau, who is the only straight, however, the only openly queer girl at their school, Beau, is making it increasingly more difficult for her. So I'm very excited. It looks really cool. It looks very LA, and I'm just loving it. Melt With You by Jennifer Dugan has a 3.66. It is also coming out on May 17th. I'm so excited. This is the author of Some Girls Do, Hot Dog Girl, and Verona Comics. Oh my gosh. Amazing. YA romance, contemporary. We are following Fallon and Chloe. Chloe is a very popular name this year, it seems, who used to be best friends, but last summer they hooked up right before Chloe was going away to college. And then after a series of miscommunications, they are no longer speaking. It is now a year later, and they have to work a food truck together. We're talking more second chance romance than I think we're talking miscommunication trope, but who knows how much of that is going to play up in why they can't end up being together in the 3rd act breakup. But this really reminded me of The Music of What Happens by Bill Koenigsberg, and I read that last year in June, I think, and that was really, really sweet. It did have a food truck element to it as well, and I think that this will also be really cute, really sweet, super queer, Girl, loving it. Can't wait. And then The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah has a 4.28 on Goodreads right now. I'm pretty sure I talked about this in March. One, because I apparently can't read very well, and thought that when it said May, it meant March. Obviously, right? So I've already talked about this a little bit. I'm going to talk to you about it again because I have pre-ordered it. I almost never do this. This is the first in a trilogy, the Sand Sea trilogy, an adult fantasy retelling of 1001 Nights. So excited. Can I tell you how excited? Eternally excited. Do you understand? I barely understand it. I don't know. Like, I'm getting this, not just a really invigorated love of like the Greek mythology that I did love as a child, but like all kinds of retellings, like all kinds of stories and fantasies from all different cultures. And right now I'm really fixated on like Arabic and Egyptian and all those kind of fantasies. That is really where my heart is. And I'm pretty sure it's because of The City of Brass and like, yeah, but like The City of Brass and the Dead Djinn universe by P. Jalais Clark, and then this is coming out and like my little heart, it can't take it, but I'm so excited. We are weaving the gripping tale of a legendary smuggler and a cowardly prince and a dangerous quest across the desert to find a magical lamp. So excited. I can't wait for it to get here. On May 24th, there are 3 books that are coming out that I'm pretty excited for. The first one, A Cruel and Fated Light by Ashley Shuttleworth. This has a 4.63 on Goodreads right now. This is the second in the Hollow Star saga. First one was A Dark and Hollow Star. So this is a YA fantasy romance. I read the first one, A Dark and Hollow Star, last year, I want to say. Maybe in summer. I'm not too sure. I'll link the video up above because I'm pretty sure I did a reading vlog for it. I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it a 4-star. Now that I'm sitting here trying to think of what happened in the first book, I don't know if it's because it's been so long or like maybe I should be bumping it down to a 3.5 because I can't really remember. I'm pretty sure it had something to do with like, because they're like fae, right? And then there's like 8 houses of fae and like one of the guys is a prince and the other guy is his like secondhand man, and then another girl, I don't think that does she have status, and then there's Arlo who's like she basically was an angel but now she's not, now she's just fae because she like took revenge, and that's all I got. I think that's it. That's all I've got. But it was really fun. It was really adventurous. It kind of reminded me almost like Crescent City, but not all of the creatures, you know? Like, it's not all of the kind of fantastical creatures. They were all fae, but it was definitely more city, like something was killing people. But it also looks like this book is going to be getting more into the politics of the world, which I really always enjoy in a fantasy series. I love how the first book is always like, here's everything, here's the world, and then your characters aren't really like in the politics of it, they're just trying to like survive whatever circumstance they're in. And then in the second book, we're bringing in the politics. We're talking about all the things that make it work and why the first book had to be and da-da-da-da, and we're setting things up, and that's what I really love. So I am excited for that still. We also have Hide by Kirsten White, which has a 3.85 on Goodreads right now. This is the Literally Dead book club pick for June, and I am so excited for it. I didn't know it was coming out. I'm so glad I do now. This is an adult horror thriller. Everything that I'm about to say now is taken from the back of the book. Challenge: spend a week hiding in an abandoned amusement park. Prize: enough money to change everything. Mac is an expert at hiding. That's why she is alive and her family isn't. What happened? What do you mean? I feel like this could be one of two things. This could be a dual timeline where we are getting, you know, whatever happened to Mac and her family, and we're also getting the amusement park thing. Or it could be just a singular timeline where we're getting the amusement park stuff, and intermittent we are getting Mac remembering things about her past, which brings things in, and hopefully whoever is making the killings, who's ever doing the death, they will also be connected to Mac's past, and that would be such a cool story. So perfectly laid out. I can't wait for it. So excited. Black Tide is the last book coming out on May 24th that I'm excited for. This is also a Tor Nightfire release by Casey Jones, 3.89 on Goodreads right now. Adult sci-fi horror. The elevator pitch for this was Cujo meets A Quiet Place. And like, I don't think that the cover conveys that very well at all. So we have Mike and Beth who have a drunken one-night stand during this meteor shower. And then they wake up and like the whole world's changed. They are stranded on the Oregon coast. There are creatures around that make inhuman sounds, and Mike and Beth basically just have each other. But the way the summary was wording it was like they weren't describing this creature or like it has one creature or like what has happened. It's really just Mike and Beth, and I think that that is going to play a part in it a bit because it'll be more psychological than it is really anything else. All right, and then May 31st is the last date I want to talk about, last book I want to talk about. Book number 18, Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson, 4.29 on Goodreads right now. This one I also heard from that YouTuber. This is an adult historical fiction fantasy. So I'm a little bit nervous about this, but I'm highly, highly excited. We have 4 girls at the dawn of their adolescence took an oath to join Her Majesty's Royal Coven, which was established by Queen Elizabeth I as a covert government department. Decades later, the witch community is still reeling from a civil war, and Helena is now reigning high priestess and the only one of the 4 still involved in Her Majesty's Royal Coven. So this is a series. This is a first in the series. I'm very excited for it. Like, the cover is giving life. I hope that the historical element doesn't give me dread. That's always the fear. However, from their review, it seemed like it was really good. I thought that I could really be into it. It's very witchy. I'm very excited. I can't wait. Badass chicks too. Like, that's my deal. All right, so that was 18 books that are coming out in May. What books are coming out that you are excited for that I haven't mentioned, and what books that I mentioned sound good to you? Tell me down in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. Also, tell me what you're currently reading. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!